Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's random album review. So we're going to go ahead and choose an album to listen to. Before we do that, though, just remembered, if you want to request an album for us to listen to, you're more than welcome to leave a request down below. We will choose one lucky person at random. It'll probably be the only one. And you will also have the opportunity to appear on our channel, should you so wish. We will send you details of that if you are the lucky winner. So let me share the screen and we can go ahead and choose the album. So, Brett, can you see the screen?
I can indeed, yes.
I'm going to press, I've already chosen quantity 3, so I will go ahead and press rerun, and that will give us a choice of 3 albums. Which you will choose one of them for us to listen to. You ready?
Yeah, let's have a look.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. So we've got Precious Memories Collection. Looks like that's by Alan Jackson. We've got Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, and we've got Gaslighter, presumably by the Chicks. So, Brett, what are you thinking?
Right, Miles Davis, I think I've heard of him, but I could be just playing out in my head as well. It seemed very different in some regards, those albums there. I've not heard of is it the same as the Chicks? Is it the Chicks? Yeah.
Yes, it's
the Chicks and Gaslighter. And Precious Memory, Alan Jackson, not heard of Alan Jackson as well. And I said there's 2, but I'm going to rule out Miles Davis for the blues type of music there. I'm swaying between Precious Memories and Gaslighter. You know what, maybe I think I'm going to go for a bit more colourful side of things. I'm going to go for the Chicks and Gaslighter. Why? I don't know. It's stand out a little bit more, and I think Alan Jackson could be a real sort of bit of a gamble I don't want to take on those regards.
And
I don't
of
know
course,
why.
You like female singers. You've made that.
I do have a soft spot for female singers. And I said it's a bright cover. It's attracting my eyes there. That's the only thing I'm going on from there. So. Yeah, let's see what that's all about.
Yeah, so like you, I don't know who the Chicks are. I don't know who Alan Jackson is, but I have heard of Miles Davis. I don't know anything about him, but definitely the name rings a bell. So, okay, the Chicks with Gaslighter it is. So we better go and do some research on them. Okay, so I have found the Chicks, their album Gaslighter. So I just shared a screen. Brett doesn't know who they are yet. So it's the 8th studio album by American country band The Chicks. It's an album from 2020, so pretty new. It's their first album in 14 years and first to be released under their name. So it's only 47 minutes long. So let's have a look at it. What's it got there? 12 songs, pretty average lengths. It's a long one there, 5 minutes, 26 seconds. But yeah, it looks like the only big song on there is Gaslighter itself, whereas the others don't appear to be been released. So yeah, there we go. How did it do in the charts? Well, and the reviews and stuff. 7.8 out of 10, 82 out of 100. The Guardian gave it 4 out of 5. The Independent also 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone 3 out of 5. Daily Telegraph gave it 5 out of 5. So yeah, reviews aren't bad. So Brett, how are you feeling? You made the right decision there?
It's still really hard to tell, really. Actually, it doesn't surprise me. It's a country kind of pop stuff, so that can also be a good little bit of a surprise there. I think like a lot of the previous or random ones we do, just going to keep a nice clean slate, not going to think too much into it, and see what comes up really.
Yeah, good thinking. That's the way to go. So yeah, we're going to be back with you guys in a few seconds, having listened to the album, and hopefully we'll be in very good spirits and able to, say how wonderful it was. So see you guys in a second. Okay, so we've now listened to Gaslighter by the Chicks. So I think I'll go first this time. So I've got some notes here. So I really liked it. I was really enjoying it, probably up until about halfway or just over halfway, maybe until, I don't know, the 8th or 9th song, maybe even as far as that. But then I just felt like all the songs just ended up being like really slow. Ended up getting a bit tired of the album. I found it strange because the first few songs, I actually gone back to check just before we started this recording. I think it's the first 3 songs are quite lively, and then songs 4 to 12 just suddenly take a huge turn, and they all just become like really, really slow songs, which I liked them at the beginning. I thought, oh, this is nice, a nice slow one, and another slow one, another slow one. Okay, then it just got a little bit too much, I thought. So yeah, I'm not quite sure why they went for that kind of style, 3 kind of up and at your songs at the beginning, and then some real sort of slow ones after that. But definitely some positives from it. Like I say, I just wish it was mixed up a little bit more, maybe a few more, faster songs like the first 3 were. But yeah, ended up a bit disappointed with it, but like I say, there were some good things about it, which we'll talk about shortly. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, so I actually quite like this album, but I totally agree with the points you made that towards the end there, the songs did feel very repetitive, very the same. I think there was even 2 songs which they could have been exactly the same song. But what I kind of did like, and what I was going to give it credit for, is that there's obviously was a narrative and a story throughout the whole album. So obviously it's about this guys, they're obviously broken up, and it's her telling her, classic sort of country style kind of music. And we should say this is a class. This is real country pop music. So I can imagine diehard country fans would probably hate it. Pop fans, which you might put ourselves in that category, and you say even you kind of, maybe it's a bit, could have needed a bit more upbeat pop to it as well. But like I said, I think it had this narrative story. I bought into that and actually gave the ending a bit more credit because it's the way she was just sort of feeling and talking about stuff. So, but I do agree. I think the only thing it probably was missing is to have a bit more of the upbeat stuff, or maybe had some of those upbeat stuff that started at the start, maybe just space them out a little bit. So it just didn't feel a bit too repetitive there. But yeah, I got really sort of entranced with the lyric side of things, because there were quite a few songs which I've put in my notes of were like acoustic, like you could hardly hear the sort of music and the tune to it, and you could just hear the women sort of just singing the lyrics, and it just made it a little bit more sort of powerful there. So yeah, a strange one. Like I said, I did like it. I would happily listen to it again. Definitely took a lot more positives from it there, but could see and maybe feel how, especially towards the end, it was just a little bit too slow and a little bit too repetitive in some regards. But I think maybe unless maybe someone who's had the same sort of situation, I feel it's the type of album you might get a lot out of it if you've gone through the same sort of things. You can sort of really understand what they're sort of talking about from there. But and maybe it's one of those albums, I think when you listen to it maybe a few more times and you get to really appreciate it, then maybe it becomes a little bit better. But yeah, good apart from those minor negatives. But like I said, overall for me, definitely more positives than negatives.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well, I've said this before, I've got a major weakness when it comes to listening to music. I'm not good at, I suppose you could say, multitasking. Like I'm not good at listening to the lyrics. Like even though the lyrics for a lot of these songs were very audible, because as you say, there wasn't much instrumentals in some of these songs, so you could definitely clearly hear the lyrics. But even with that, I still struggle to kind of understand the meaning of them. So I didn't, unlike you, I didn't follow the story, just because I don't know, my brain doesn't seem to take
yeah,
it
no,
in.
and I'm normally the same as well. And I very much so, but I think for some reason I just sort of picked up the phone, and then to be honest, I did have to look back, and so it wasn't like I distinctly remember. Was I could just feel something from it, and then obviously went back to have a look of sort of the things and got sort of the idea what was coming about it. But like you, I do still struggle to we'll call it a multitasking element to it.
Okay, so if we go through the songs. So the first song is the name of the album, Gaslighter, and I believe this is the only released song when I was looking on Wikipedia. And I've sort of kind of put a question mark here, sort of cheesy country music. It kind of sounded to me like quite a cheesy kind of country pop song. But I found it was actually quite catchy. The chorus was sung in a group. You know, the group, I don't know how many people are in the group. Is it 3 people? 3 women? Yeah, but the other parts were mainly individual, presumably, the lead singer. But I thought it was actually quite a good song. It's quite catchy. I've only heard it the once, but I could imagine that's a sort of song I could probably listen to that a few times and actually really get into it. So I thought that was a good start.
Yeah, you could tell it's obviously the song that was either made specially to be released, because I said it's not quite like any of the others from there. It was very catchy, real, like we said before, real country pop style to it there. And I also made the same things as I obviously realised as we go through the album, where obviously you feel like you've got the band here, but obviously the rest of the album, it almost felt like it could have just, they called the Chicks, but really could just be called The Chick. I couldn't really tell where there was other people apart from this song here. I like this one, but on reflection, actually, as we went through the album, it probably wasn't one of my favourites towards the end, actually. But I do like it because it just had that little bit of upbeats and catchiness to it there. But it, like I say, wasn't actually end up being a favourite towards the end.
Yeah, so it had that kind of upbeat catchiness that the other songs didn't really have, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one then was Sleep at Night. So pretty good so far after the beginning. So sung individually, again, presumably the lead singer, but the chorus sort of comes alive with some kind of backing sounds, which I thought was pretty good. And I like the very softly sung parts as well. So kind of a bit of a variation in the actual singing style. I thought it was another decent song. And How Do You Sleep at Night reminds me of Pink, Dear Mr. President. And what was interesting, because I think that's what Pink sings about as well. What I actually realized after that, what I found out, I think this group, the Chicks, or at the time they would have been known as the what they used to be called?
The Dixie Chicks.
Dixie Chicks. I think I read that they were very much opposed to the war in Iraq. And they protested or something to criticize George W. Bush. So kind of related, because the Pink song was about Dear Mr. President, was directed to Bush. So just a kind of coincidence, I guess. But it's a good song. I liked it.
Yeah, I really like this song as well. I think this is obviously it's a slower version than the one we had previously. But in comparison to the later songs we're going to hear, it's a little bit faster than that. I think just had a good sort of mix between the two, really. And I think that the Pink reference there is probably a good way to look, because that's also kind of a slow, meaningful song, but not like a really slow sort of ballad. So I actually really like this one. This could be one of probably my favourites on the album, potentially. But again, it's hard because I think a lot of songs I do like them, and that's because they're quite the same. It's hard to really have like I think we talked about in other albums where there's not really a sort of standout song or standout songs that I enjoy. But if there had to be one, from what I put my notes here, this would have been potential. Like I said, just because it has that nice mix between being not too poppy and not too slow and ballady.
Yeah, it had a good mixture. It's quite, in between. Yeah. Okay. Next one was Texas Man. So it was all right. I'd say not as good as the previous two, but I still like the funky style. Had some interesting, unusual sounds and interesting singing parts. So yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I've kind of put him on noted like a cliche country song, but country pop still. When I say country, I'm still country pop. I think it's trying to be cliche. I think there's another one which also has that sort of cliche elements to it there. Again, this is going back to a bit more sort of the upbeat kind of thing. And again, I found it just sort of quite interesting with the lyrics, really. Talking about this text guy and whether this is it'd be interesting to know, if it's based on a true story or true events and who this guy was and what actually happened and stuff. And so it may sort of come through from there. But where she talks about, him wanting, or people wanting younger models, she's not quite it. And she's sort of better than that, or it sort of messing up with her mind, the kind of thing. So yeah, a good sort of upbeatish one, but yeah, just not as good as the previous ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is where the album sort of took a turn, where for me, from this point onwards, everything just became like really slow. So Everybody Loves You, nice and slow, a ballad. And I was trying to listen to the lyrics. As I said, I'm not very good at this. And the question is it about her body? As in, everybody loves you. Was she referring to everybody loves her body kind of thing? I think I heard something along those lines, not sure. Seems like about something sad. Feels quite powerful, even though I can't quite make out the lyrics with this one. But it was a good song. I actually enjoyed listening to this one.
Yeah, so I also really like this one as well. And like I said, even though it's hard to pick up on a lot of the things there, you can sense, deep, powerful meaning. And like I said, it was all good. But like I said, as you've always said, the rest of the album always follows the same suit. So towards the end, it's like, oh, I've had quite a lot of this already. I kind of got the message from this one. It's that it seems that a lot of either her friends or other people seem to like her, this boyfriend or this husband or her partner, and can't understand why people, or they can understand, like, I think effectively he's different in their eyes, and she sees like the real him, and she can't quite understand why, and that fact that she does he liking her just for her body, and maybe that's all that's what he really, but other people see him as a really good sort of genuine writer. That's sort of what I kind of got from it from there. And it's actually interesting, we didn't talk about it with like the gaslight kind of things. Apparently that's a term where it's someone who manipulates someone or makes them feel bad. It's like when you put something on the fire to make it worse. It's kind of those same things. So I think that's where, after I've seen that, got that sort of more message from this particular song. So he seems very different in other people's eyes, but she's seen the sort of real him, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then we had, for her, another slow one. I'll be saying that every time now. Not far off from being an a cappella in parts, which is what you mentioned in your introduction. Then it started to build up. Good voice. It was a long song with different parts to it. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't bad. It was an interesting song. I guess probably because it was in the first half of the album and kind of the beginning of the slow stuff, probably kind of maybe took to it a little bit more. Whereas maybe if it had been later on in the album, maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it so much, because I would have kind of got a bit tired of it. But yeah, it wasn't bad, that.
Yeah, I have to put a line here, like, it's hard not to like this one. And I said, yeah, if it was at the end of it, I would probably like it less because it would have been so similar to some of the others. But it's just sort of, again, a really nice, well-sung song. Again, you could just feel the sort of meaning, and even if you can understand what it was about as such, you get sort of feelings from it there. I did find, yeah, I said there's a lot of different elements to it, but I did find it kind of grows on you towards the end. Actually, with a lot of songs, sometimes, especially one like these ones where you get bored of it gets worse at the end. This one actually, I felt did feel it got better for me towards the end. It sort of grew on me a little bit longer from there. But I said it also here, and I've said it for long, it's just not some as good as some of the earlier ones that we've had already.
Okay. So the next one is March March. So it's slow, but not that sort of slow ballady type as the previous two. A kind of different feel to it. And what was quite interesting about this one had swearing in it. So you mentioned like the previous song was a kind of nice kind of song, like, you know, but this one, it was a bit more, wasn't so innocent, I guess you could say. It was like downbeat. I guess again, it's probably kind of like a negative kind of feeling, which is why it was downbeat. Clearly heard of a violin in there. It was unusual. Then the instrumental started getting louder, and I actually put down here probably my least favorite so far.
Yeah, I put a question mark here if I like this one or not. I think it's a strange one. So this is like another one where I've said it's like kind of sort of cliche country music. And yes, we've got some swearing now in this here. And you feel like this is like her mood is kind of changed as well. So obviously she references and talks about, oh, now I'm an army of one. So trying to put her troubles to one side and go, you know, I'm okay on my own and I'm going to do it. I think the only thing what I found was missing is that because I think like the last 2 minutes, or even half a song, there wasn't any singing. Or I say singing, I've put here. It was almost like, yeah, it was like speaking. I almost put like kind of like rap, but not that wouldn't be the right term. But you know, it was almost like it just wasn't singing. It was almost poetry, trying to get out what her feelings were in sort of in just with words really. And then sort of the end of it, just being the music side of things. So yeah, I think this. As we've talked about a lot of times on albums, there's sort of experimental songs. This might be the closest one to it. So I think maybe it's something I might need to listen to again and see how I feel. But I felt it was just missing, like I said, that sort of just it needs to go a little bit more upbeat towards the end. It just didn't seem to go anywhere. And just a little bit different from it, from the rest of the other songs. Sorry.
Then we had My Best Friend's Wedding. I've described this as speaky rather than like actually singing. So very more like kind of speaking the lyrics. Sounds promising. It sounded promising at the beginning. Then we had kind of like a background choir sound. It might have been the two other chicks. It builds up quite nicely. It was quite relaxing. And then it does get going. And I thought it was a pretty good song. And in terms of the lyrics, again, I'm not good at this, but I heard something about I think it's her friend who keeps getting married, so presumably gets divorced, then she goes to her friend's wedding again, then again. But Brett, you can tell me about that. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. But it was in terms of the actual song, I actually like this one. It's quite good.
Yeah, so the other bits I also liked about this one was also, I think in the middle, there was like sort of violin bit. It kind of felt like, it almost sounded like you could have been at a wedding and had like sort of wedding type sort of sounds. It's really bad explanation. I don't know how best to explain until you listen to it, but it felt like they could have been from a wedding. And then this is where I sort of really at the point was sort of trying to get a bit more sort of the vibe of sort of what's going on. So what I got from this, so yeah, you're right. So obviously it's that best friend wedding, and it's whatever many weddings it is, but she realizes actually seeing how happy she is now, even though she's been married previously, and even though she's had to get married again, she actually seems very happy. And she also mentions in the song about sort of missing her partner. And I think that generally happens when you're probably at weddings. If you're not in a relationship anymore, you kind of miss the person you're with, but then also seeing actually there's life after being in a relationship. There is a future after that as well. So kind of realizing that as well. So I think that's where you get that sort of nice vibe where it's, sort of sad and upset about the past, but then also trying to be promising about the future. So I think that's where you get a nice sort of vibe between the two sort of styles from there, really. So yeah, it was an all right one.
Okay, then we had Tights on My Boat. So another speaky one. This one was actually much easier to understand because there wasn't much background sound going on. Again, that's what you mentioned in the introduction. It was an acoustic, basically. And again, in terms of the understanding, was it that her boyfriend cheated on her, and she's talking about the other woman that he slept with left the tights on her boat. I don't know if it's literally a boat or house or what. The voice was very prominent, as I said, because there wasn't much in the background sound, in terms of instrumentals. And I thought it was a good range of vocals. It's quite a unique song, really, for at least what I'm used to. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, so again, I put that sort of rap-like style, acoustic, telling sort of the story. And yeah, what I got from the same as you, pretty standard. It sounds like a partner according found the other person's tights on the boat. Yeah, whether it's actually reference to something else in terms of boat, but I get the feeling that that's why I like to find out if this was actually genuine stuff, because maybe she's obviously doing well off and does own her own boat, and he's obviously taken advantage of that. And yeah, like I said, I quite like this sort of speaking kind of thing. Like I said, because it puts the lyrics and the feelings more across, more really. So we haven't got as much in the country or the pop side of things, so it has this sort of acoustic speaking kind of bit, really. Yeah, I just felt not as good as some of the others, but I do like this kind of style from the album.
Then we had Juliana, Calm Down. Yet another really slow, quiet one. Speaky again, easy to understand, to pick up on the lyrics. Not that I actually could comprehend really what was being said, but the instrumentals then started to build up a little bit, and then the whole song really got going. It was okay, not one of my favorites. I found it dragged on a little bit too long for me as well.
Yeah, so it starts, as you say, it's really calm, acoustic. You can just focus on again on the lyrics. That's sort of been seen. I haven't put any of the sort of lyrics down in this particular one, and was by there. But again, it did sort of have a slow sort of build up to it, which kind of liked. But like you also just felt it could have gone a little bit further, or maybe the song just needs to be a bit shorter with that. But what I found most interesting was then there was a list of loads of different sort of girls' names at the end she was referring to. So it'd be interesting to know what that meaning was about. Were there other people who have been involved in this or had the same sort of situations? So again, I felt like it was one of those, there was probably a lot more to the song than what the lyrics actually gave away from that there. So again, it had real potential to go a bit more poppy, a bit more upbeat potentially, but just didn't do it. So it was just an all right one.
Mm-hmm. Young Man. I'm not talking about you, Brett. That's the name of the song. This one was slow again, and starting to get a bit tired of these songs, of these type of songs by now. I thought the lyrics were quite audible, a little bit boring. I just noted that her voice went quite high. But like I say, by this stage, I've just wanted something a bit different.
Yes, I also put here the same sort of a high-pitched voice. And again, it seems to be more focused on sort of the lyrics kind of thing. Quite on a few of the songs where I was saying this one, you had sort of like the instrumental violin being played halfway through it, which again, I found was actually quite nice to listen to. But like you, they've had too many of these type songs throughout the album, and that's where I was sort of making those going. Actually, maybe you need to go back and actually listen to it again. Maybe have the lyrics up and maybe get more of an understanding what's about, try and take it more as a story narrative and see if it is about her feelings all the way through. Because I think in that case, it could be a quite good album. But yeah, like I said, it's a bit too much of the same we've had so far already.
Next up was Hope It's Something Good. I just noticed it had a kind of echoey effect right at the start, but that soon sort of dispersed. And again, obviously a slow one. I thought the chorus was quite good, actually. I think I probably would have liked this one more if it had come earlier in the album. But just because I was getting so tired of these similar types of songs, maybe that's why I maybe didn't enjoy it as much. It was a sort of dreary style song, like not in a negative way. It's just obviously what she's trying to, put across. So yeah, it was okay.
I totally agree. I think as was just said with the previous one, I think we've had too many of these same ones. It just probably loses out a little bit because I think this is where I put like this one could have been exactly the same as the previous one. They've almost felt like they were the exact same songs in a way. And now I've said again, like I really probably need to go back, fresh mind, listen to this again with a bit more meaning behind the album to maybe appreciate this one a little bit more. Because obviously there is a lot of deep lyrics to it, meaning, because again there wasn't too much background music from this one from what I remember, so it was just an average okay one to listen to. So yeah, would like to go back and try it again really.
And the last song then was Set Me Free. Had a very calm, relaxed start to it, and I noted down quite early on that I don't really like it, but I would say it did have quite a sort of strong effect to it. I think there were some moments, from what I remember, maybe where the music stopped. There was a bit of a pause, and then she started singing. So it was quite powerful, but it was just too much for me in the end. Just too much of this style of music, slow stuff.
Yeah, I felt like this could have been a really good end to the album. And I still think it's probably a good end album song. Because I said, even though I haven't looked too much into it, you could sense there was that sort of deep feeling and meaning with it. And I said, it's just a shame there was just too many of these same type of songs right at the end there. Because I said, it just almost merges into one. I know I repeated myself, but it's just so I could put as my notes said. I think I need to sort of come away, spend more time, go back, find out a bit more about the album, listen to it again and see if I can sort of get a bit more from it from there. Because I said it felt like, as I was saying for the last few songs, at that point I could tell there definitely seems to be a story narrative. Because I said, what I'm trying to say is that even though I knew that from the start, I didn't think it'd be all the way through, because we very rarely have albums where every song is kind of linked to the same sort of thing. But obviously these songs all generally sort of interlink or talk about the same story, the same feelings throughout. So that's what I'm saying. It'd be good to sort of go back and maybe get the full picture and might have a different sort of appreciation for these songs. But like with a lot of them, it's hard not to dislike them because they're sung well, they're sung nicely, it's got a nice vibe to it in some way, even if it did feel a bit too slow at the end. So that's why overall I think there is a lot more positives to this album. But I think it's one that just needs a bit of time and a bit of dedication to.
Yeah, so to sum up, I did like quite a few songs on here. So I just felt it was lacking in variety, too many slow songs on there. But I would say I was still pleasantly surprised, not surprised, but I didn't really know what to expect. But I liked, the songs, and I would be interested in hearing what else the Dixie Chicks have done. I think this is if I'm not mistaken, their first album as the Chicks. I think they're a very old band, been around a long time, and I'm not sure, I remember looking on Wikipedia, but I can't really remember though. And they've done lots of albums in the past. They sort of haven't done much recently, and they've recently come up with this new album. So yeah, definitely positives to be taken for sure. And I quite enjoyed some of the sort of the style of the songs as well. Quite interesting to listen to. So yeah, it wasn't bad, just in the end for me, just too much of the same. Brett, what about you?
I sort of pretty much said most of my stuff as I was saying about last song. But yeah, but I think I really am going to sort of put time aside, as I said before, and I think we'll actually try and give this one another listen, which I know would be pointless for anyone watching this because we probably won't talk about it again, just my own thing. Yeah, listen, a nice one to listen to. Definitely one of the better albums that we've generally had on our channels, I would say. But I think, like I said, it just needs a little bit of time towards it, really.
Okay, so thank you for watching. If you want to request an album for us to review, then please let us know in the comment section. We're also giving you the chance to feature in the video as well at the beginning to introduce the album if you so wish. You don't have to. So yeah, we look forward to receiving your requests, guys. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon for the next one. Goodbye.